Oh man, it's time for us to blast off into space with Sky Lynx in the latest GotBot True Review. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble and today excited host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby. And hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors NL, the Autobot Family, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe versus DC Universe versus Marvel, and all of my links for social media. All of that's down in the description. If you want to help the channel, there's a donate link. You can check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring, or of course you can just hit the join button and become a channel member right here on YouTube. And this is the new Commander Class Sky Lynx. Here's the thing. When this guy was announced, I was like, that's great, but I'm not tied enough to Sky Lynx to really want to spend $120 Canadian on him. And that's what his price is here. I can't speak for what he goes in other places. I want to say $79.99 in the US, maybe. Somebody can correct me on that if I'm wrong. But as it turned out, I found this guy on sale and I was able to put a couple of coupons on top of that and got the guy for 75 bucks Canadian. Well, that totally changed the story now, didn't it? Just how good is this guy? Well, I went in with an attitude of the Voyager's fine, the Voyager's good enough. This guy's going to have to be something special to really impress me. And I had it in my mind that we're going to look at all the modes, that we're going to look at him in comparison to that Voyager, to Predaking, or at least my version thereof, to the other Commander class. We're going to see him in all of his modes. We're going to see how he interacts, with other Season 3 characters, like how he scales and whatnot with him. We're going to cover everything to do with this guy when we head over to the table and take a closer look at him. So sit back and relax because we're going to cover everything to do with this guy. Starting with the box, you'll notice I don't even have Sky Lynx here yet because, well, to start him the way he comes out of box is a little bit challenging to kind of display him here like this without kind of ruining, some stuff of how he gets in that mode and whatnot. So I thought, for just a little change up, we'd start out explicitly with the box first. Of course, we have Sky Lynx here. We have Ramjet over here. We have Dirge down here in his robot mode. Naturally, those two now have been shown as a 2-pack that I think is an Amazon exclusive. I'm still waiting on mine. A lot of people already have theirs. And interestingly, and something you might want to watch for yourself if you ordered Ramjet and Dirge, apparently there is a QC issue with the paint on the wing of the left wing explicitly of Dirge. Sometimes it's a different color. It's not quite a color match. So check yours out. Make sure both of your wings are the same color, I suppose. And as many people know by now, we have Thrust over here on the side. We know we're getting him by himself. I find it really interesting that Thrust is over there by himself. We have the other two there as well. But of course, that's not the only interesting things on this box. We also, of course, on the back have all of your product images, and we see that we get a version, so to speak, of the Micromaster Rocket Base. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But there's a couple of other things that just struck me as interesting.
What is that? It looks like a seahorsey to me, but surely it can't be a seahorsey. I just like to know what it is. Is it just space? Is it just a spiral? I don't know.
And of course, we all know the art on the side with the arc coming down to Earth, and we have a Quintesson there and Double Dealer right here and all that stuff. But look at Trailbreaker here. Look at the way kind of just below his head is. I feel like what we're seeing here for like his upper chest area looks more like the Generations version than what we're actually getting in Earthrise, even though I prefer what we're getting in Earthrise. So I find it interesting. I feel like they maybe had this artwork done before they kind of decided on a design for Trailbreaker, or before they had finalized a design for Trailbreaker. Just found it kind of quirky. Sky Lynx has a map piece. You don't have to cut this one out. It's already cut out for you, apparently. Over here, this is evidently the Dead Universe, and up here is evidently Char. We have a huge set of instructions. The images are kind of small, but honestly, they're very clear, and Sky Lynx is actually very user-friendly. Again, we seem to have, I guess it's stats here, but it's all in Cybertronian. I can't read it. Maybe you can. He comes with a ton of these blast effects, which I absolutely love, because some of them can be thrusters, some of them can be like blasters firing, and some of them can show where like shots are being hit and struck, and I kind of like that we have a bit of both. And we have two of whatever these things are. There's a peg back here, there's a port right there, and there's another peg here. They're pretty versatile. I don't know. I don't know exactly what they're supposed to be, but I know where I use them. And finally, we get to Sky Lynx himself. This is the way he comes at a package in two pieces. The shuttle and the, I don't know, whatever that other thing is. The payload, is it? His carrier underneath? I don't know what it is. But he comes in these two parts, and we're going to deal with one at a time first. So this is the lower half, and I'm going to call it Lynx, because I don't know what else to call it, and I don't know what the official name of this part of a shuttle is. I have no idea, but here's what I can tell you. The paint is really nice. There's a lot of gunmetal gray here. Their blue is a rich blue. The red is a rich red. We're going to talk about that more as we go through. I'm not going to give any grades or anything until we kind of get toward the very end. I don't know, it rolls fine. It has the treads, which look cool. Underneath, I mean, you can see that we have a couple of wheels back here, a couple of wheels up here. There's nothing actually on the treads. Could you see that? Yeah, you could see that. We have a port here, we have a port here. I personally like to take these pieces, and you can put them up here and have them face forward or have them face back or whatever you want with it. Me, personally, I put them back here and I peg them in there. And I peg that in there. And like that works for me. This thing rolls. I guess it exists as its own vehicle if it wants to. But of course, most of us know that this is, as I said, Lynx. We're going to put them into Lynx mode, and then we're going to make the changes necessary, or change, I should say necessary, to get him in the mode that he will have to be in for when he goes combined later on. And to do this transformation, it's actually really simple. I'm going to back things up a bit though, because he is going to get significantly taller than what he is here. And now that we have everything kind of back and rearranged a little bit, we can do the conversion, which is actually really easy. You come here and you open up the chest, I guess, and it's only friction, but it's done really nicely. You bring up the head, you close that up, you bring out the Lynx head. You can open the mouth, actually like super duper wide, which I think is really neat. Then you pull out an arm, because it is tabbed on, and you bring it down, or pull out a leg, I guess I should say. And you straighten it up, same on the other side, you bring it out and you straighten it up. Actually, I personally like to leave them a little more cattish, so it's sort of angled back slightly. And then on the back, we, again, pick it off, straighten out a paw, and bring it down, pick it off, straighten out a paw, bring it down. I do find having these white pieces back here gives a little bit more of like a cat-like leg. And then you come underneath and you flip out a tail, and you flip out a tail, because he has two tails. But in essence, this is your Lynx mode. And so what can we say about this at this moment? Honestly, the tongue can move up and down and take a blast effect. The head and neck section can go left and right a bit. Not really any up and down, but the head can go up and down. And the head, I think, might be on a bit of a ball joint, because it seems to have a little extra wiggle. The paw sections, I guess we'll call it, I mean, all of them can go all the way around on clicky ratchets. They can all go all the way out to the side. There's a swivel on all of them. There's an elbow on all of them. There's an ankle tilt. There's a forward back that's on a ratchet on all four. We have the dual tails. Some people have said that's not right, but actually, in reference to the animation, at least the animation references that I looked at, he actually did have two tails, as weird as that is. So I think that's actually accurate. But in all honesty, for a Lynx, this is about as good as I could possibly ask for. And then we come to what I'm going to call Sky. And this is the way the shuttle comes in package. So naturally, the first thing you have to do is bring this down and bring this down. This tail fin here, like, I don't know. I guess it sits fine, but there's just something that seems a little too high about it. You will notice as I pick this up, we do have a loose, on this side, we do have like a loose wing issue. Now, here's the thing that's interesting, and it took a while for mine to actually kind of work like this. There is a red tab here, and there's a slot here that this tab goes into from the top. But on mine, it liked to pop off. I think it had something to do with the mushroom peg not being quite fit correctly there. And I do find that you need to approach that tab the right way. You need to have the wings slightly bent up, and then you need to kind of bring it down and push it in. Now, it is a nice, serviceable shuttle mode. And man, do I love that this is apparently NASA approved. The rumor that I've heard, and I don't know if it's fact or not, is that in order to secure the name Magnificence, they had to kind of include NASA on this. I don't know. I have no idea, but I think it's a really cool nod since he's supposed to be a shuttle. I absolutely love it. Of course, now we are back because we're going to do the transformation to get this guy into his sky weird bird mode thing. I don't know what to call it either. Sky Lynx is such a weird dude. So we take the wing off. I advise bringing that up as far as you can in case this likes to kind of, you know, angle down. So I bring it all the way up myself. Same on the other side. I bring it all the way up. Then you can open out a blue wing, and if you want, you can bring it all the way out to the side, or you can leave it back or somewhere in between. For now, I'm just going to leave it back, because why not? So the wings are kind of up, and if you want, like, you can angle them up too, which I think is kind of cool. We pull the head all the way out, and we angle it up and kind of bring the mouth down, and I guess we can open his mouth if you're so inclined. We can come around to the back of the guy. We open out the thruster pieces. By the way, all of those blast effects, they can obviously fit into thruster pieces here as well. We bring out the entire tail. If we bring it down, we can close the thruster piece back up. But of course, the bird version here doesn't have legs yet, and we have these little ones. I have heard some QC iffy issues about these not being ratcheted properly. Mine, thankfully, at the ankle and at the knee and up here all seem to be ratcheted just fine. We do even have an ankle tilt. We'll talk about all that in a moment. Open all of that out, and we can stand the guy up, and he does stand up. Naturally, he's so big now, he's off screen, so we gotta back things up a bit. And holy moly, again, this is not hard to get to. I should probably close that up. He does stand, though right now he is trying to be a bit of a nuisance, but he does stand actually quite well. Easy to get to this mode because you just untap that and take out the tail, you pull out the head, you pull down the legs, and you pull up the wings. It's not it's not hard to get here. The wings, they can move up and down and kind of in and out. They can even move down, like if you want his wings kind of facing down this way, they can do that. The head, well, we're going to talk about the head when we get him in the kind of combined-y mode. But the head is very versatile. Couple of things I'd still like to see with the head, but it is very versatile. We have ratchets at the hips, at the knees, at the ankles, an ankle tilt, the toes, the heel, all of it moves. On mine, everything works fine. You do need to, because the legs here are what they are, you do need to find the right balance point, but once you do, he's all right. There's no doubt about it. But I dig it. I like it. So I'm going to point this out now because the next mode we're going to go to is the combined mode. And we have to get this guy prepared for that first. We'll have to do Lynx too, but we'll talk about that in a moment. And really all you're doing to get this guy prepared is bringing up the toe and the heel and bringing the whole foot back, making sure that the leg is angled all the way in, and then you just are bringing it up as if you are going back to shuttle mode, up like that. That's all that you're doing on both sides, and then this guy will basically be ready to be put in combined mode. But I want to point something else out. The instructions don't show this well, and in all the reviews I've seen, a lot of people explain this but don't really show it necessarily well, so I'm going to do it here now. Up front, in the instructions, this slot here, they show being tabbed in, and indeed it does, but kind of before you do that, you want to get the back situated, and there's a space back here with a rectangular tab. You need to get that kind of locked in first. It goes down over a section on Lynx that we'll see, and you got to push it forward, and then you can push this piece down to lock it in. And so in saying all that, we come back to Lynx, and really all we need to do is open up his chest again, we take his head, and we fold it all the way in, we bring that back up. Now, kind of bringing him up here, we have this section back here. There's a slot in the back, so you need to take Sky, put it on, and push that rectangular tab into the slot here first. Then you can push the front down so that it locks over this tab. When you want to release it, there's a button here on the front, and you need to push, and as I push it there, you can see that moving. You need to push that, it will release Lynx, and then you can just lift them off of here, basically. You might need to push them back. And once you've locked in the back and pushed it forward, you're probably gonna hear a little click. Then you can push the front down, and the back and the front are both attached. If you're unsure if the back was attached, just try and move the back. Don't lift the guy up, because you might break the front peg, especially where it's spring-loaded. Just slightly lift the back up. If it lifts, then it's not locked in. Disengage the front, start again. But this is him in his glorious combined mode. He can, of course, put the entirety, basically, of the blast effect in the little blaster in his mouth, which I think is pretty cool as well. The articulation here, well, the legs retain all of the same motion and movement that they did in Lynx mode. So basically the legs can move all the way around. They can swivel, they can have an elbow, and ankle tilts, and forward and back, all on beautiful ratchets. The tail can go up and down, and there's a hinge in here, and a hinge here, and a hinge here, and a hinge here. The tail, however, cannot go left and right. It can go up and down, it cannot go left and right. These two tail pieces back here, they also are fairly static. The wings, I talked about how they can all move. However, I do find that my wings like to pop off of this mushroom peg. It's easy to put it back on. I just wish that they didn't do it. The blue on the wings, it means, or not the blue on the wings, the blue part of the wings can of course go in and out and all the way around. I mean, if you want, you can keep them completely folded up. As a matter of fact, the way I tend to prefer to do it is, honestly, I tend to just bring these pieces back down and attach them in, and if he's at least in a resting pose, if he's like in a resting pose, I tend to just leave him like that, to be honest with you. Okay, now I've got to spend a few moments kind of focused on the head here. First thing that I like, or didn't like, is that he was missing an Autobot symbol right up on the top of his head based on the animation, so I did put one up there, but that's personal choice. I do like that when it comes to the paint on this guy, we have some white plastic, and then we have this like almost off-white paint. It's almost like a very bright gray, but I love the interplay of both of it. The head, it can move, I think on a ball joint inside here. It might be a hinge, but it can move all the way up and down. The jaw opens and closes. It can go all the way around, which makes me think ball joint. Then we have at the first kind of neck hinge here, we can go left and right, and it doesn't, like, the head turns, but it doesn't turn. That's fine. The second one here, ratcheted up and down, again, it doesn't turn. The third one, ratcheted up and down, it doesn't turn. And the one down here ratchets up and down, but again, it doesn't turn. It, not much. It can kind of swivel a little bit. I kind of wish that these were able to turn a bit more, but that being said, I mean, you know, there is a very, very, very respectable range of motion. It's not a big deal. It's just, I found myself trying to strike a couple of poses where I wished I had had that, like, kind of extra little bit of mobility there. Jumping into a few comparisons here now so you can see where the guy stacks up. Here he is with a bunch of like Season 3 cast members. Not all of them, it's not exhaustive. You know, there's no RC there at the moment or a Wreck-Gar or whatever, but it's enough that you get an idea of where Sky Lynx fits in. While I was fine with the Voyager, and we'll see that in just a little bit, honestly, now that I see the display, maybe this is the right size. While I don't particularly ascribe to the idea that Sky Lynx should be a Titan, because I don't see him the same size as guys like Metroplex and whatnot, honestly, like, maybe he is Jetfire, Skyfire-ish size. This looks pretty good. But I think we all know that there are two main comparisons that really need to be made. The first is your Predaking of choice. A lot of times Sky Lynx and Predaking were at odds with each other. Mine is the Unique Toys Warlord. Despite his imperfections, to me this still screams Predaking. But maybe you have the Power of the Primes Titan. This guy still scales well with that too, from what I've seen and heard. But you might have something else. You could have Ares, or you could have Feral Rex, or you could have one of the KOs. It's going to be up to you as to how well you think this guy scales. For me, this is the right Predaking for my collection and my sense of scale. And while I was, again, fine with the Voyager, in all honesty, this seems like a better matchup if they're going to be going into battle. Speaking of the Voyager, I think that that's the main comparison that most people would really kind of want to see. So, and through it all, you can compare whatever you like, but I think the one that most people wanted to see the most would be Sky Lynx and, well, Sky Lynx. Naturally, the Commander Class one is much larger than the Combiner Wars one, but I still like the Combiner Wars one, and I think it's a great shuttle. Also, to boot, I've discovered that the two little sections here on the back can actually support, if this is still your Sky Lynx of choice, they can still support blast effects in those ports. I think that's a nice little throwback. I don't know, I like both of them. The blue is deeper on the Commander Class, the red is deeper on the Commander Class, but there's still definitely something charming about the shuttle mode for the Combiner Wars as well. What about their combined, like, full beast mode? I say combined beast mode because I really don't know what else to call this thing, if I'm being perfectly honest. I guess it's a combined beast mode. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, so what do I think of this? Again, I like both of them for different reasons. Naturally, the size of the Commander Class is much bigger. It definitely has some more articulation. The red and the blue is still the rich red and blue that it is, but I think I kind of like the way the eyes, so to speak, are done on the Combiner Wars a bit better. And I definitely like the way the feet are done on the Combiner Wars better. I like them like kind of more claw look, so to speak, than the paw look, so to speak. Again, I don't think that there's a bad choice here. It's just that one is definitely bigger than the other. Of course, we can't compare base modes because they don't have a base mode, and we can't compare combined modes because they don't have that. So if you want a Sky Lynx that can combine, in other words, if you like Skyring, then the Combiner Wars one is still probably the one up your alley. If you want something that's base, then obviously the Commander Class one. But the Lynx mode, we can actually compare because of a fan mode that the Combiner Wars one can do. Well, here we have both of them kind of in a Lynx mode, I suppose. Now, the Sky, I guess is what we call it, is a mode that this can't really do because it's just the shuttle part of Sky Lynx. However, because of this fan mode, we can get into the Lynx, and whether you like, you know, the bigger Lynx or the smaller Lynx, that's up to you, man. This one can also, if you orient the wings right, kind of have a Griffin look. Now, I looked at everything to do with the Combiner Wars Sky Lynx and how to do all those transformations and how to do this fan mode back in episode 88, so long ago. If you go back and you take a look at it, be forewarned, it's not the best of quality. It's okay, the information still stands, but it definitely hasn't aged well. Let's put it that way. But this is, you know, I don't know. This works for me. I dig it. Just as a couple of size comparisons, you know, here he is with, or here they are, I guess I should say, with Titan's Return Hot Rod. So, I don't know, what scale do you like better? We'll throw in, while we're at it, here, we'll move this over and we'll adjust things. But we'll throw in Siege Springer. I do have to adjust things slightly. And you can see what scale it is that works best for your sensibilities, I suppose. Like how big do you see Sky Lynx? Some people have wanted him to be a Titan class. I don't see him the same size as Metroplex and Trypticon and Scorponok. Maybe he's the same-ish size as Jetfire, so maybe this works for him. I never had a problem with the Combiner Wars one, if I'm perfectly honest. But a lot of people did. By the way, interesting fun fact, if you look at Titan's Return Hot Rod and Siege Springer here, they're close on the same height. One's a deluxe, one's a Voyager. Just saying. And would you believe that even after all that, we're not done, because we still have a connection to Micromasters, and specifically this lad. This is Countdown. Countdown came with the Siege Omega Supreme. While I don't personally have the Siege Omega Supreme, I want to thank Cyril. He set me up with Countdown, and I hoped when I got him that we were going to end up getting a version of the Rocket Base. As a matter of fact, in episode 600, I looked at the G1 Rocket Base in all of its glory, along with Countdown, and I even looked at it when it was connected to other bases I had, and looked at it as part of my ultimate Autobot base. I loved it and said then that I'd love an update of it. And lo and behold, this guy is kind of the update that we never really thought would come, never necessarily asked for. And to get there is actually fairly easy. We're going to begin by removing the shuttle, and we pull this down and lift it off, and the back will come off. Then we should be able to fold in the wings. We should be able to open out this piece and fold it all the way up and in, close it up. We're going to, of course, have to kind of lock these wings back on. We're going to straighten out the head, and we're going to push it all the way back in. And let me put these pieces back on. I can't get that piece on right now. I'll do that in a moment. We come here and we open this up. Yes, we have one lone spot in there where I guess you could put a blast effect if you wanted, but this, in essence, is the way that this will be. When we see it again, it'll be vertical, as if it's getting ready to launch, so to speak. Hey, by the way, I forgot to mention this earlier, but we have landing gear here, here, and here, and they all roll. It's super cool. Okay, and that brings us back to Lynx, which, in essence, we take and turn upside down. We're going to take these pieces and bring them back, and fold that down, and probably even angle it out. Why not? Why not give it a little more space? Take this one, same thing, angle it out a little bit. That's kind of the back done. And then we can remove these things on the lower legs, and in essence, you're going to now open those legs all the way out to the side. We're going to come right here, and we're going to open up the front, which honestly on mine is a little bit of a chore. And we're going to open that out and bring it down. And we're going to come here and lift it up and bring that whole piece out. We need to straighten up a leg and straighten up a leg. I think that we're supposed to turn it so that it's facing forward, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that though. I think we're supposed to do that. Maybe we're supposed to do it this way. Yeah, maybe it's supposed to be this way. And then we take one of these, and using the peg on bottom, we peg it in, and we take the other one, and using the peg on top, we peg it in. I guess you could kind of do it however you see fit. And then we're going to have to put on the shuttle. So let me talk shut to you for a minute. We have a little rectangular spot back here. There's a little tab on the shuttle that goes in there, and then two of the shuttle's thrusters are supposed to lock over this. It's hit or miss if it doesn't on my copy. Some people say it works perfect. Other people say it doesn't stay on at all. Mine is a little iffy. It could go either way. Why? That's a good question. We have the little rectangular tab down here,
but I feel like these two thrusters are slightly misaligned. Like I don't feel like they're perfectly straight with each other, and because of that, I don't think they're going to quite fit on perfectly straight. Nevertheless, with a little bit of finagling,
you should be able to get a pretty neat approximation of the rocket base. And this does look like a base. It does look like a shuttle base. Mine is locked in pretty good at the moment. Sometimes I've done this and it barely stays on. Other times I've done it and it's pretty secure. I lucked out this time. I do find that this ramp to nowhere is kind of strange, I guess. But it does kind of add to the base-ish look to this. We do have... I do pair this guy with it, by the way. We have an open cavity down here where I guess you could hide a Micromaster. We have this rampway and this rampway over here. You could attach sound barrier. You could attach ironworks, the upcoming hothouse, Omega Supreme. You can make this a very expansive base, kind of like in G1. I think it's brilliant. Now, eventually... probably after hothouse, probably after it's kind of clear that we're not going to get any more updates to this stuff, I'm actually going to take all the updated stuff, I'm going to take everything I got base-wise, and I'm going to really show that. Now, if you're wondering kind of just how big my Autobot base is, like I said, go check out toward the end of episode 600, and you should see there just how expansive things can get. All of the G1 bases that I looked at were on loan to me by a friend of the channel, Wayne. I appreciate him letting me take a look at it all. And after doing it, I desperately wanted them. So them coming along now in the War for Cybertron trilogy is blowing me away. I'm loving this. But what about scores for this guy? Well, now that we've gone through everything, let's kind of compare where this guy stands in relation to the Voyager. We've already seen it, but going back to episode 88, I said that the paint apps on the Voyager were actually a 9 because the colors were where they should be, basically, and they were the right shade. Here, I had to put an Autobot symbol up here, but that's about it. I'm going to say it's a 9.9. I can't say 10 because I did have to add that symbol. But, that being said, it comes with a bit of a caveat. In most of the animation, the red was brighter than this, and the blue was a brighter blue. In fact, the shades are closer, typically, to the Combiner Wars. But there are episodes where darker colors were used, and we all know what the animation was like in Season 3. So I'm going to say that both of them are accurate to the animation depending on which animation you're looking at. This is fantastic. It's near on perfect, and the molded in detail is glorious. Even the white, and then we have like this off-white, almost gray color right here, and on the tip of his nose, and on the outer edges of his wings. It's mind-blowingly good. This guy has such amazing presence, so pretty much perfect. And as far as the Autobot symbol goes, if you don't want to add it, you're not going to miss it. But to be fair, based on the animation, it's supposed to be there. Probably wasn't on his original plastic incarnation. The articulation, I said on the other one, was an 8. If I was in a good mood on a good day, a 9. Really, it was more like a 7.5 because the back legs were somewhat limited, but it's still good. This is a 10. There's, honestly, I know I talked about a couple of limitations with the neck, but like it goes away so quickly. There's so much posability and versatility, so many ratchets here. It's a 10. The transformation, honestly, 10, because you look at it and it's intimidating when you see such a weird robot, because you're like, how does this turn into anything or do anything? But to get into every single mode is easy, it's intuitive, it's nice big hefty chunks of bot that you're moving. Everything is either on a ratchet, or if it's on like a friction type of thing, then it's tolerant so well. Yes, the wings are a little bit of a nuisance, but it's really not a deal breaker because you can bring them forward like on the hinge. Honestly, if this guy isn't a perfect transformer as 10s across the board, then it's pretty close at a 9.5. You couldn't really ask for much more. And here we are once again, and here's what I can tell you. The Voyager is still pretty fantastic, but it is small. It would definitely work great with a Legend scale collection, and truth be told, I could see the argument for just keeping that, especially if you're not super connected to Sky Lynx because it's fine. Or if you like one that combines, it's fine. This guy is, I think, about the right size. Now that I see him next to other characters, now that I've went back and refreshed myself on the animation, I feel like, yeah, Commander is right. Some people wanted a Titan. I think Titan's too big. I mean, the guy's not a city. He's not Metroplex. But you know what? I could see him being about the size of, arguably, Jetfire, Skyfire, whatever you want to call them. And I think that this does it nicely. I love the richness of the reds and the blues. I love how on the shuttle we have, white plastic, but then we have like this, I want to call it gloss gray on the edges of the wings and up here on the nose. Yes, I did add that Autobot symbol because it was missing, because I like animation accuracy. The versatility, the articulation is second to none. And truth be told, even with the couple of QC issues, they're so minor that they really do not affect the enjoyability of this guy. Usually, there's another hinge or another joint that you can work around to make this guy get into poses that you want to get him into. The only thing that I would be careful about is making sure that you treat this front connection piece the way it needs to be treated and make sure that the back one actually tabs in. If he's not perfect, he's the next thing to it. At least for me and my collection. Let me know what you think about this guy. I appreciate it when you guys come by and give me some of your extremely valuable time, man. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, don't forget that there's a donate link down in the description. Or, of course, you can check us out on Patreon, see what we offer to you through Teespring, or hit the join button right here on YouTube. While you're at it, hit subscribe, stick around, have some fun with us, and don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day, man, you do make a difference. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.